Fantastic. So I really want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. For a lot of us who own our own businesses, who are on the call, time is our only commodity. So I hope that you're enjoying your lunch for this lunchtime learning. I'm going to whiz through the presentation. It won't be presentation death by PowerPoint. Don't worry, because there's loads of information that I'm going to be chatting about today. As I mentioned, I will go through the chat after I stop screen sharing, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. But please, please, please pop your questions into the chat and we can go from there. So first of all, I'm Barbara. So thanks for joining us. I want you to tell you a little bit about myself and my journey in wellness as well. So I'm an award-winning nutritionist. I'm the author of 4 books, and I'm about to launch Revamp Your Wellness on the 8th of September, which is a 9-book print-on-demand series. So well seasoned in the world of well-being. But what's really great is I sit very uniquely in a position because I have run my own business. And I ran NutriChef, was at the helm for 12 years. These are the other businesses that I've had and participate in as well. I have 4 children, 2 of my own and 2 that are stepchildren. And my youngest was 3 years old at the time that I started NutriChef, which is one of the UK's first healthy meal delivery companies, and I ran that from 2004 and sold it in a 2-year buyout in March 2015. So as I said, I uniquely stand in corporate wellness from both sides. So as a company owner and as a wellness expert, and the consultancy that I do and did within my own company with my own team of 45 people, as well as within the companies that I consult with at the moment. So I'm always thinking on both sides of the equation when I talk about corporate wellness. And so that can be really a refreshing perspective on the business side of corporate wellness, as well as the implementation of fantastic strategies that are impactful for your teams. So let's take a look at some interesting statistics because, today, as I talk about these 10 common roadblocks that you can unblock in your corporate wellness, or even avoid in the first place if you haven't even started a corporate wellness strategy, because I believe that a lot of the times corporate wellness will lead your teams to reaping the most amazing benefits for your program. But obviously there are more than 10 roadblocks. So I'm just going to talk about the common 10 that are here. And I believe if you get these 10 right, you're going to be in the top 5% of businesses that do this, in my experience. So, these are some great statistics that only 44% of UK companies are actually offering any corporate wellness at all. And it's quite shocking that only 6% of those 44% are doing something on a daily basis. And when you think about wellness being a non-negotiable, right? Or even your own wellness and self-care, could you imagine? Sometimes I liken this to brushing your teeth. If only 44% of the population brushed their teeth, and only 6% of those 44 did it every day, dentists would be very, very rich. But, the whole thing is around making wellness a non-negotiable in your daily regime. It's not just something you can do fruit on a Friday or something. It must be available. So we all do know those, and these are just some more, because there's oodles of statistics that are out there, and I love the middle one here, that employees with an unhealthy diet are 66% more likely to have high presenteeism than those who regularly ate whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. And what is really fantastic with this is that these are new statistics coming out with the CIPD, and some of them are new and some of them are before the pandemic. So it's really quite difficult to see what's really happening because statistics come out a year or two after. And so I would hate to think what some of the real statistics are at this moment in time. But I think what's also interesting is these benefits, these 10 benefits sit on my website. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because you can just go to my website, barbaracox.me in corporate wellness, and take a look at these snapshot here. But we all know the benefits of corporate wellness. We know it. And these are just 10, there's hundreds. But I think what staggers me is that we know these benefits, yet go back to the first statistic that only 44% of companies and 6% of those 44% are doing something every day, despite knowing these benefits, just these top 10. So it really is, something obviously that I'm passionate about, as you will see. Now, before I head into the roadblocks, there's a really great stat that I want to use for you here because this is a brand new one out. And this is from a firm in London, which they didn't disclose the name of the firm, but it had 250 employees. And their HR department declared that they are losing £1,000 per employee per year due to ill health. So that's £250,000 pounds a year. So again, unblocking some of these roadblocks or even implementing a strategy will make a massive, massive difference. And so, in short, we know unhealthy individual lifestyle choices, can result in substantially higher levels of lost productivity work time, right? And I'm sure we all agree with that. So let's take a look how we can unblock these. And number one is we take a look at, cost effective. So I kind of have a question for you, and whether you know this, yeah? How do you calculate if something is cost effective actually in your business now? And I always found this quite interesting. And again, with my unique perspective of being a business owner with 45 staff and, being in the corporate wellness, if your company was anything like mine, I worked out whether the company would see a real benefit in purchasing something new for the company. And so it's unfortunate because some companies don't know what poor wellness amongst staff is really costing them. And so this statistic, which I'll use from this London firm, is on average, it's costing £1,000 per staff member due to this ill health. So, my 45 staff was costing me, £45,000 a year due to ill health. And that is true, if not more, when I think back, because I ran a team of chefs and they are notorious for mental health issues. And so we were trying to deal with this in our own business and look at different ways that we could support them. But definitely, you have a business to run. So you really want to look at that. So now I'm going to kind of flip it on its head as well, because sometimes company directors don't see the potential in having a program when everything seems to be okay in a business anyway, when you're humming along and everyone's fit and healthy. So they don't like the idea, some companies, of offering a wellness program because they don't think they actually have a problem anyway. So there's so many cost comparisons and assumptions that you can make in this area. So what I really like to do is something called a cost benefit analysis. So if I back up again just to this slide here, And what I like to do is when I'm working with a client is I go through each one of these benefits and I actually assign a monetary value for their company. And it's a really great exercise because a lot of people don't know what it's going to cost. So they're going to make assumptions. They're going to make assumptions for those. So this cost benefit analysis makes a big difference. And I'm going to tell you why. Because one of my clients is Google in Dublin. And I created the Live Well by Barbara Cox food range and literature around power boost snacks, hydration breaks, mindful meetings, walking picnic hampers, etc. And we implemented this, and over 6 months that it was monitored within the company with their 2,000 plus staff. They obviously had their own canteens already. And so their staff was purchasing 50% more food and drinks. So healthy profits alongside healthy food, which is great to know. But HR also reported staff illness had dropped by 30%. And turnover at Google, check this out, turnover at Google Ireland, just Google Ireland, rose from 7.6 billion euro that year to 45.7 billion euro. Now, I'm not going to take all the credit for that with a corporate wellness, but in this case, their corporate wellness program implementation was definitely part of that equation and something that they have invested more heavily since then. So this is a really nice sort of guideline to work with. So you can also share all of those benefits when feeding back to your team and your employer as well. It just makes a great benchmark for that added value and, taking a look at any cost benefit analysis if you are outsourcing consultancy to a provider as well. So let's take a look at the next roadblock. So this roadblock is engagement. What does good actually look like? Because this is a major roadblock. There's a lot of misconceptions around well-being programs out there. And as a result, many companies are just picking and choosing options fairly blindly, doing their employees and their company actually a disservice in this area. So to achieve a real health improvement at the workplace, employers should first understand what the evidence says around what works. And I'm going to repeat that. What the evidence says around what works. And when we weave together that individual health promotion programs with organizational change interventions, that build on this beautiful, healthy corporate culture that they want to create, well, the rewards are just huge. I mean, absolutely huge, not only for the company, but for the employees, and not only for now, but for years to come. And that to me is what good looks like. So don't let this be a roadblock. Don't let mediocrity be a roadblock and a box ticking exercise be a roadblock. Unblock it. What does good, what does exceptional look like in well-being? Because for me, exceptional means waking up feeling 10 out of 10 every single day. So you have the mental clarity, resilience, drive, enthusiasm, and energy to flip and crack out a great day. And that, to me, is what good looks like. And if your corporate wellness is not looking good, then that is such a roadblock to overcome. Okay, this is a big roadblock, big roadblock. Compliant EU information, especially now we've left the EU, and this is just all over the place. Okay, it really is. Now, for a lot of you who know me personally, know that one of my consultancy positions is I am your UK representative on the European Wellness Council. This is an independent council for well-being and training to make sure that the standards in health and wellness are really high, because there's not a lot of standards. And so it is a very open field. And of course, now that you can pull information on the internet that is mainly United States driven, those health claims are not allowed here in the UK. And again, I will give you an example. So I went in to work with a company. They had 140 employees, so a really, a good size SME. And I was invited to create a COVID wellness strategy for their people who were working at home. And I was asked to create an information pack. But first of all, I said, well, can I take a look at your information pack that you're using with your clients at the moment and your teams? And what I did notice is that it was completely uncompliant. Their documents were obviously downloaded from goodness knows where. They were not checked for claims. Their product references were just out of date, and they were not using the correct health terminology. Now, I get this, because sometimes the people who are tasked to do this within a company, especially if it's smaller companies, don't have a health and well-being background training. And that's okay, because I've got solutions for that. But it does also mean that it's a major roadblock around compliant EU information. And not only that, if you have multiple sites, because I also work with companies who have global offices, then there is different information available in different areas. So this morning, my 10 o'clock client is a corporate wellness client, and we were looking at the compliant information here for their office in the UK, for America, for Russia, for Italy, because Italy is different than anywhere else in the EU. Honestly, it's a bit of a minefield. So, again, luckily, this is one of my strong points, and all my information is EU, CIS, because I have a lot of clients in Russia and Kazakhstan, USA, Canada, and South African compliant. So you really do need to look at this area. And a final note on this section is actually my youngest daughter, Hannah, who is age 20, first year at Brighton University as a law student, is looking into a lot of law claims at the moment. A couple stateside, but one or two are sneaking here into the UK. And what's interesting is that employees are now taking their employer to tribunals for not having corporate wellness or not having compliant information. And if they're getting ill, then they are saying, well, how come my employer didn't take care of me? And so it is a real fascinating area, and more on that information, because there's more and more coming out. And I think this is potentially public law and human rights law is something that Hannah is going to go into. So I'm going to have an expert on my team in the family helping with this. Let's take a look at the next roadblock. This one, again, they're all pretty massive, right? Is it achievable? Is it achievable for the staff? And is it also achievable for your company if you are a supplier implementing this? And it really does come around to what are the goals and action planning. I'm a big one for action planning. I love action planning. For those of you who know me, I'm an action girl. I love brainstorming ideas, how you'll measure success, who you're going to delegate things to in certain aspects to achieve the best results for your people. And that is what it's all about. Yeah. Are you going to hire some external staff in different areas to implement and achieve your plan? How are you building the teams to implement this and keep everyone accountable? And this is a big area, and finding that inner motivation that keeps it all going. Yeah. And especially on a daily basis. Remember, you want to be in that top 6% that are doing something for your team on a daily basis, don't you? And then again, achievability is how you're going to do it on a daily basis, and how you're going to evaluate that is actually working. Those are real goals. Those are real goals for your team. And finally, how are you going to reward your team in that as well? I think, your people in your company deserve to be rewarded for their efforts in this. And that, making it achievable, is definitely a roadblock I often see. So yeah, we want to take a look in that area. And that kind of goes nicely with it being easy to implement as well. Well, you can go for some really wonderful, quick and easy wins, which are always really good to build that momentum. But again, this section is just all about action, action, action. And every project tells a story. It tells a story about your goals, your team, your timing, your deliverables. And it really does require that detailed project planning and management to get that story right for everybody. Because not everyone in the story is on the same wellness journey at the same time as well. You're going to have some people in your team that are super fit and super healthy and running triathlons, and those who might be suffering from the diseases of civilization. So you really do need to look at your deliverables and timelines and deadlines in this area as well. And keeping those goals in mind also makes those little steps easier to implement. And it's all about processes, and those processes made simple. I love the simplicity of these things because you don't want to make it difficult. The whole key is in the roadblock, which is easy. Don't let it be a difficult. And I think one of the biggest areas in this is communication, and communication with your team and the people throughout the whole process. And my kind of way of working, for those of you who have worked with me in the past or know me, is I'm very open, I'm very transparent, and I'm really open to feedback. And I think that is definitely part of this implementation stage as well. Because well-being is so emotional. It really is. As I said, you have triathletes to cancer patients in your team, all wanting a little bit of help along the way. We come to work as a whole person, and I talk a lot about holistic thinking, holistic as in WHOLE, and the whole person comes to work, so we need to have it easy to implement for the whole person. And this really is at the heart of wellness. So this is my own personal wellness wheel that I use with all of my clients and implement everything. And this is my holistic 360 approach to wellness, because I'm going to tell you what, one of the biggest roadblocks is people are not looking at that holistic person or a wide variety of topics. Now, another story here, because when I first went to work with Sky up at Austerley in London, they had a program that consisted heavily on one of these sections here, which is the mental health section. And, I have created wellness programs with that just being a piece of the pie, one of 10 sections. Because it's not surprising when Sky was working heavily in this area that actually everyone else who didn't feel at that time mental health was relevant to them, they were disengaging. They were actually disengaging from the daily wellness program because it wasn't speaking to them. They didn't feel it was for them. And so you really do need to look at a holistic view of what you are implementing to make sure you're hitting all of these areas. Because if this wheel rolls smoothly, it is amazing how an individual's wellness will roll smoothly and has a beautiful impact back on a work-life balance. But if this wheel is wonky and you're just working in one section, and one section, if you take a look at this section pie and maybe you cut it into 10, so on a scale of 1 to 10 in each area, and you're working, 10 out of 10 in mental health, but in community, 1 out of 10, fitness, 2 out of 10, health, 3 out of 10, that wheel is wonky. And your program is going to have staff, people, directors disengage. That is a massive roadblock and really difficult to turn around. So it's not surprising that feedback is a roadblock, because feedback not only for the board of directors to the employees who are using this program, but also to the person who's implementing it. And lack of feedback can mean a wellness program might not be as effective as it could be. Go back to my point number 2, good. What does good look like? Feedback is definitely part of that. Being open, transparent, and being open to feedback. Because at the end of the day, my personal motto is together, stronger, faster. When you're working with people, you need to have that motto, because it's just super, super important. And the best way to get and give feedback is to create that open culture of that motto, together, stronger, faster, of that honest communication, because this really needs to be unblocked quickly so you can plow through that. Because companies that I've worked with across the globe, this is paramount to collect the employees' feedback and feedback from the top teams. So you can yield these great insights that lead to brilliant changes that overall lead to better performance and actually increased turnover and company profits, which only goes back into that wheel, a bit like the Google story, right? I mean, they proved it works. So now their budget for well-being is incredibly massive. So look at surveys, look at suggestion boxes, team meetings, reviews, all of those kinds of things are just absolutely wonderful. And you really need to make it something for everyone, inclusive and varied topics, again, like the Wheel of Wellness, and to follow on from that holistic approach. And the best thing to do is to get leadership commitment, from the top to support this program and cascade it down. And a successful health program starts with the commitment, really, of all those company leaders. And the continued success actually depends on it. And the ongoing support is at all levels of the organization. So in particular, when I worked with a company, Next, in the UK, Next, I don't know if anyone has ever worked with Next. I think this dress is from Next. So they are a massive company with outlets, throughout the UK, but their warehouses are based in the Midlands. And I visited just outside of Birmingham. They are huge, and their manufacturing and distribution is incredible. But they are really for an inclusive program, and their senior leaders not only speak of it in the importance of the organization, but they lead by example. And that is what's wonderful. And something for everyone here. I just want to add a point, because when I first went to Next and their well-being team were trying to think of things, they were the ones that loved these wellness ideas of something like a healthy chocolate making or insurance plan offerings and incentives for free flu jabs. And these kind of under the radar programs, weren't effective in improving staff health. And that's what they needed to reassess. So when you take a look at what are you offering now, is what are the under the radar programs, and are they really equating to certain things? So that again is making it something for everyone. My roadblock number 9 is consistency. And again, I'll go back to the statistic. It's all in the statistics. Only 6% of the 44% of companies actually doing something are doing something on a daily basis. If you don't brush your teeth every day, what's going to happen? Okay? Consistency is a massive roadblock. You can't have this stop and start. The energy it takes, as you know, when you're on like a wellness challenge, even for yourself, it's like, okay, I'm going to be really on it this week. I'm going to go to the gym every single day. The effort to actually start that every day, and then you're exhausted. Yeah, by the end of that week, that the next week, do you know what? Doesn't happen. Consistency. These, and it can be with communications, and the communications, they need to be frequent, they need to be varied, they need to be multi-channeled, tailored to targeted audiences. So this doesn't fade into the background noise. Wellness needs to, okay, not be in your face and not be overpowering, but it's that commitment. And that commitment needs to unblock this key, and you need to stick with it, because you can't expect expert results and success with the occasional message. And success and results come from consistent messaging. And kind of a little note on this as well. One company that I worked for, they used to send a newsletter once a month around wellness. And they outsourced it, not to me, but to another person to write this uncompliant, I'm going to be very kind here, uncompliant email to their staff. And they were paying a lot of money for this. I'm talking a lot of money. And they weren't getting the engagement that they wanted. And it's because all those roadblocks were just in the way. Can you see this? And sometimes when you take a step back, and now that you know these roadblocks, and you potentially might see them either in your own company or companies that you want to work with, that this is a massive key. So I touched on this earlier, because this again can be a roadblock. Well, it can and can't. Yeah, is that you don't actually have a specialized health consultant in your team. And as I mentioned, the person often tasked with initiating a wellness program within a company doesn't have a background in health. They might have an aptitude for health. They might be interested in healthy eating. But, I worked with one company. They had about 100 staff here in Poole. They were an IT company. And, one of their two people took it on, two women took it on. One was in sales and the other one in HR. And they couldn't implement a strategy because of all the other roadblocks, is what I'm saying. So if you want to do it right, you do need to put some time and effort. But do you really need a specialized health consultant? It's okay. And if you come across those roadblocks, then you might want to take a look at that, because you could be wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, and resources invested in your team that don't have the answers, and then it comes back, right, and causes kind of disengagement of those who mean well within the business, who want to make a difference for their team members. Yeah. And you don't want to have anyone in your team disengage, right? So, I've created a simple solution. So hopefully you can hear me out. And this is, I've created, becoming a certified wellness ambassador, and to build that culture in your company. So the healthy companies are built intentionally. And it does have to be part of the strategy. And first and foremost, about creating this way of life in the workplace that integrates a total health model into every aspect of the business practices and company policies, to everyday work activities. So by what I mean by creating a certified wellness ambassador, I mean creating a culture that supports the career and emotional, financial, physical, and social well-being of everybody in your team, whether it's your 2 people or 2,000 people. Offering great stuff like flexible work schedules and giving workers that latitude of decision making and setting reasonable health goals. And even providing social support and enforcing, not enforcing, it's not a word, but kind of, you know what I mean? Like giving it to them and saying, this is a really good health promoting policy that they can follow. And I just believe that this strategy starts to establish this wonderful, healthy physical environment. Now, I've worked with companies that have healthy food offerings to, even using staircases instead of elevators, walking, meetings, all those kinds of things, treadmill workstations, you name it, I've done it. But what I can say here, and this is also important, is don't hire a vendor to fix unhealthy employees. That's not what a wellness program is. You're not trying to fix unhealthy employees. You're trying to become an ambassador that inspires change and health within a workplace. And there is a massive difference with that. So let's take a look at some of the benefits of actually having a certified ambassador amongst your team. Because with the first certified ambassador course that I've created, this is kind of a top line overview of what you can get. And this course was born out of wanting to reach a wider audience that bridged the gap between me as a one-to-one consultant and mentoring my clients to actually having a mini me wellness ambassador in companies using my collateral that I've created. So it was really born out of that. So companies that I worked with, I trained up mini me. So on the days that I wasn't there, they could continue with everything. And they just had ownership of this of the program. It was great. And because just a top line here, you're in your team having improved that mental clarity and increased productivity and energy to succeed, to achieve success, because that was it, and cascading it down. The program actually has 12 months of content and wellness offering in templates. So you don't have to worry about making compliant information. I've done it for you, and you just use it for your team, or you use it in your own consultancy practice, because I know I have a lot of HR people who are on, and they can cascade it through. It is a certified course. Myself, as a member of the European Global Wellness Council, and being that representative gives me the authority to make sure that everything is 100% compliant. These strategies and templates I've used with clients since 2004. No, it's not out of date. It just is proven to work with all of my experience. That gives you the confidence in your offering when you are doing it. And what's great is all the previous certified wellness ambassadors, we are in a private Facebook group, which I give mentoring on a weekly basis to make sure everyone is, like I said before, hovering 10 out of 10, feeling fantastic themselves, and everybody wanting a little bit of what they have in their own company to increase the chances of your wellness ambassador program actually coming into progress. So again, with the additional tips of wellness in the private Facebook group and opportunities to network and work opportunities, I just put another work opportunity in our wellness ambassador group today. But really, I want you to stand out from the crowd, because anybody who becomes a certified wellness ambassador will stand out from the crowd. And I just think that's so important, so important. So what does the course actually offer? So the course itself is these 15 modules. And within the 15 modules, there's little 39 different downloads that you can have. You work at your own pace. You use it as a resource. This is a resource for you. Yes, you do get a certification at the end. I've had some people sit at this and complete the whole thing within one day. And some people who are still working at it as and when they need it. But these are the areas, and as you can see, they reflect the wheel of wellness. So you have collateral and pieces of articles, information, content, presentations that you can use from day one with your team. So, I think the other thing is don't worry if you're not in HR. And if you're not a health consultant, and if you're not good at copywriting, and if you're not a fitness instructor or don't have a science degree, that's the beauty of this. It is done for you. So you can still have the confidence that your program is absolutely going to achieve what it wants. Now, I have all 5-star reviews from people who have, who are wellness ambassadors now. And these reviews sit on the Aspire for Business website. And, it really is great. And so I am offering an offer today that if you want to jump on a free 15-minute discovery call for me to try to tailor something to your business, then I'm really happy to do that. But if you wanted to sign up and become a wellness ambassador for yourself, a team member, or someone in your business, then I'm actually offering a free one-to-one audit on whether it be your own personal health, your business, whether you're starting out, whether you're a consultant, or the business experience I have from running my own businesses, or just a balance. I have some people contacting me who are just like, I can't juggle life at the moment. And I'm also giving mentoring sessions. These are 1-hour mentoring sessions, and 2 of those just to make sure you are on track or you're implementing this with your clients. The course itself is only £550. So, as I said before, if you're working with a team of people or you're working individually, because if I were to become ill, it's going to cost my business more than £1,000 if I'm off sick. So if I don't know this information to implement for myself or my team, then again, it could be something that I want to be preventative and make sure that this is going to be something that I'm taking care of my own best health, if nothing else. So I'm going to stop sharing and opening up to some Q&A here as well. So if you have any questions, then please let me know. Pop them in there. But I guess kind of common questions that I have normally is just, people do find wellness very difficult because it's so personal and individual as well. And so where do you start? And the great thing about the wellness course is that it shows you where to start and gives you all of the steps in between to try to help. It's not meant to diagnose, illnesses or mental health issues, but it's there to support your team and yourself, that you can wake up again feeling effervescent and 10 out of 10. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. And I would love to hear all of that. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I will stop the recording. Oh, I've got a couple just to myself. You can either put it to the panelists, which is me, or the attendees. So I have a question here. So the course itself, thank you very much. So the question is, how do I access the course? I don't host my own course. The course is hosted on Aspire for Business Academy. They are my providers of the course. So the course is hosted on there. I will send links to the course for you to take a look at it in more detail. And once you book on the course, then the process is Aspire for Business will enroll you, and I receive an email. From there, the Aspire for Business tells me that you're on the course. I then get in touch with you personally, add you to the private Facebook group, and we book that one-to-one session to make sure that you're onboarded properly from there as well. So, I'm going to hold your hand through this. It's not one of these courses that you're on your own. This one lends itself to different stuff. So thank you for that. Oh, just a message. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm so pleased you enjoyed that. That's really wonderful. So that's great. If you have any other questions, please email me. I know this is your lunch hour. This is our lunchtime learning. I hope that you got a lot from it. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. Lovely. Love your energetic energy. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's awesome. Do it. Thank you so much. It's really kind. So any questions, please email me. I will email everybody after this. I am recording this, but the recording to rewatch this is only available for 48 hours afterwards. So if you're watching this on replay, you're going to be lucky. If you want to watch it again, make sure that you do. Thank you so much. Have a spectacular, supercharged afternoon, and I will catch you over on the other side. Thank you so much again, everybody. Take care.